Released by Machine Games in 2024 on the Xbox Series and PC, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is a first-person adventure with immersive sim gameplay. Directed by Jörg Gustafsson and Axel Torvenius and written by Tommy Tortzen Bjork, the game features a lore-friendly story that takes place in between the films Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The story only gets larger from here, so let's cut it down to size with a recapitation. As the game begins, it's the year 1937 as Dr. Jones reflects on his adventure in Raiders of the Lost Ark a year ago, as well as his rocky relationship with former fiancée Marion. During a late night at Marshall College with his friend Marcus Brody, Indy notices the presence of an intruder and is shocked to find a giant man praying in Latin. The towering intruder refuses to leave, quickly knocking out Indy despite his best effort and steals a cat mummy before escaping through a window. After he comes to, Dr. Jones follows the trail of the giant burglar, finding he dropped an unusual pendant and comments how the stolen mummy was found just 6 weeks ago at a dig in Siwa, Egypt. Investigating the medallion, they find it is the sigil of the Vatican's secret archive as Indy begins packing for Italy and Marcus urges him to slow down as this sort of impulsiveness has eroded his relationships and career. Undeterred, Jones sends a message ahead to a friend named Antonio who warns him the city is not safe and currently under occupation by Mussolini's fascist blackshirts. Sneaking through a fortress at night, Indy rendezvous with Antonio, who warns him a friend of Mussolini, Father Ventura, practically runs the Vatican while the Pope is currently ill. Antonio studies the medallion and Indy's description of the giant, and it reminds the priest of a crazy claim of a secret message in the oldest buildings of the Vatican, referencing a group of giants called fallen angels hidden in the Holy City. The priest recalls seeing the symbol of the pendant in the library, giving Indy a disguise to move around less conspicuously. A suspicious Father Ventura approaches them, disapproving of the presence of an American, though in the library they find the medallion unlocks a secret passage. With the help of a handy camera, Indy investigates clues, including a diary of the eccentric priest Father Crescenzo, but intervening, Father Ventura takes the diary away from them on accusation of being pro-communist literature. Thinking this setback means they are on the right track, Antonio informs Indy of where they keep confiscated material accessible through the sewers. Dr. Jones locates the diary and finds it leads to a catacomb under the Vatican, hiding the tomb of the warrior giant bearing a message naming the Nephilim Order. The area begins to crumble as a wayward bulldozer collapses through the roof above, forcing Indy to delve deeper into the necropolis in order to escape both the tomb and the blackshirts investigating the mess. Making his way out of the hole the Italians already started digging, Indy takes out a well-meaning soldier and nearly catches the attention of a sister sneaking around the site herself. Following her, the professor catches the woman spying on with binoculars when an airship overhead interrupts them and he watches it drop off some Nazis to meet with Father Ventura and Mussolini himself. Indy recognizes one of the visitors as Emmerich Voss, a German archaeologist and leader of the Führer's occult research program. The woman swipes Indy's ID to learn his real identity, but he quickly deduces she is not actually a nun but really a reporter. The woman introduces herself as Gina, an investigative reporter, saying she's looking into the disappearance of someone close to her that she suspects Emmerich Voss kidnapped 6 months ago. As it so happens, Indy is familiar with Gina's missing person too as Laura Lombardi, one of the world's leading experts in ancient languages, though Gina reveals Laura is also her sister. The two part ways, agreeing to exchange relevant information as it comes along, as Indy finds a blackshirt uniform in just his size, though he is paused by Father Ventura, who has noticed his sneaking around and delivers a veiled threat as a warning. Indy takes his words in stride as he stumbles upon an underground boxing ring, taking the top purse and leaving without speaking a word to anyone about the fight club. Soon enough, Gina mentions she has a contact who may know more about his missing cat mummy as they rescue her lead from Borgia Tower, and she reveals the Vatican has been spying on him since Jones's dig in Siwa. Jones is also told this goes high up as he is handed papers from the Vatican secret agency authorizing a tail on him and given a key to where his cat mummy might be. However, while helping another archaeologist, Indy finds a stone fragment found recently that mentions St. Peter as a patron of the fallen angels and protector of something called the Great Circle. Locating the hidden entrance to the secret monastery of the Nephilim Order, Indy is annoyed that Gina invites herself along, reluctantly working with her as they keep ahead of the fiery puzzles within. Finding the monastery beyond, it seems someone has been here recently as Indy explains Nephilim is Hebrew for giant, who were the children of fallen angels in Judeo-Christian mythology. He reads that a tribe of giants swore loyalty to St. Peter during the founding of the Christian church in order to atone for their ancestral sin that caused the Great Flood, but more importantly finds a note mentioning a particular cat artifact secured by one Brother Locus. Finding a hidden passage in the Vatican's esoteric treasury beyond, Indy finally finds his missing cat mummy, but the giant who took it is also there, as Jones figures he is Brother Locus. The giant demands the cat be returned, but is beaten up by the duo just as Father Ventura guides Mussolini and Voss to an unauthorized entry into the treasury. Voss blackmails Ventura into silence as he goes directly for the cat mummy relic, smashes it, and picks up an unusual stone fragment from it. Soldiers begin destroying other artifacts for more pieces as Voss explains they are relics of the Great Circle. As it turns out, the Vatican had 13 of the fragments, though Voss is confident that German archaeology is the most efficient in the world and they will secure the remaining 4 in mere weeks. An anxious Ventura warns them the relics contain an unearthly power, and Voss affirms that is precisely why the Führer wants them, preparing to return to Giza. Gina is determined to follow the Nazis and rescue her sister, but Indy warns her not to underestimate them, having dealt with them before. However, this time he decides to invite himself along with her, knowing the significance of the Great Circle, sneaking onto the airship his own way. He is caught by Ventura, who knew he was a spy all along, but the priest is halted by Locus, who handles the fascist enforcers while Indy slips away. Snapping his way up just in time, Indy looks back to see more giants with Locus as Gina helps him aboard while wondering why he is chasing the Great Circle now. Eager to explain, Indy draws out how throughout history, mankind has built multiple sites of great spiritual significance, and oddly enough, as if by design, they align to form a perfect circle wrapping around the world, a great circle so to speak. Gina thinks that's just a coincidence as Nazis only care about power, but Jones counters there is said to be a great power connected to the Great Circle, more than superstition. Regardless, she is more concerned about Laura as they rest for the trip, eventually landing at the dig site in Egypt. Voss butts heads with an impatient and insecure Colonel Gantz as Indy and Gina sneak towards the dig site, as Gina has a contact here too, Dame Nawal, who also happens to know Indy's colleague Marcus. Jones isn't thrilled that Nawal keeps a pet snake, as Nawal informs them Laura has been added as a researcher for some sort of secret experiment approved by the Führer himself, and thinks Voss may have more information in his tent. Currently, Voss is seeking the Idol of Ra relic, said to be cursed with a terrible power, and it dawns on Indy that just like the cat mummy, a shard of the Great Circle might actually be inside the Idol of Ra. On the same page, Nawal agrees to help Indy around the camp, asking that if he finds any artifacts seized by the Nazis, then to return them to her where she can put them back at the Cairo Museum. Agreeing they belong in a museum, Indy passes by Gina, who is listening in on radio broadcasts to keep tabs on Voss's men, who have found the entrance to another sanctuary in the Sphinx. Disguising himself as a dig site worker, Indy makes it into one of the open tombs first, also getting first crack at the deadly traps as well. Working past the light mirror puzzles and hordes of scorpions, he finds a treasure for Nawal, returning just as she mentions she has found a way into the secure camp where Voss's office is. Using a nearly abandoned tunnel, the duo infiltrate the camp and find Laura's notebook, as well as spy on Voss, once again argue with Gantz as the colonel has killed the giant prisoner they were keeping for questioning. Gantz panics and pulls a gun on Voss just as Indy's hiding spot gives way, causing him to come crashing down. Voss is surprised to see Indiana as Gina subdues him, demanding to know where her sister is, but he ignores her as he continues to provoke Jones. Taking advantage of the moment, Jones studies the strange language tattooed on the giants, deducing it to be Adamic, the first language given to men by God, understanding why he needed Laura. Gina asks about Laura again, and pointedly, Voss replies that Laura wasn't taken since she happily volunteered to work for him on this project. Gina is outraged to hear this, giving Gantz the opportunity to jump them as a fight breaks out, resulting in Voss getting his nose broken, but also saving Gantz's life and earning his loyalty. Indy gets the last word in, using a chair to table the discussion as the duo flee into a tunnel that Nawal collapses behind them to cut off the pursuit. Taking this opportunity, they hurry to the dig site Voss was investigating for the Idol of Ra, seeing signs of giant guardians that suggest the Nephilim Order was working with the Egyptians thousands of years before the rise of Christianity. Grabbing a soldier's uniform as a disguise, Jones follows the clues that the Order left behind, figuring out the Nephilim language along the way, and finding the hidden tomb still guarded by a giant. Evading the blind berserk brute, Indy is warned not to speak of a certain word as beyond is the Idol of Ra, and the archaeologist takes a leap of faith in destroying it, revealing another fragment to the Great Circle. Unfortunately, the removal of the idol triggers a sand trap that fills the room and flushes out Jones, nearly burying him as he barely escapes outside. Unfortunately, he is found immediately by Voss, who takes time to mock Indy while taking the fragment from him, though earning a swift retort. Voss is interrupted with an update on a crew that went missing that has now turned up in the Himalayas, and Gantz volunteers to lead a rescue team there. Keeping encroaching scorpions at bay with desperate puffs, Jones is saved by Gina and Nawal in time as they find a report on Voss's mission to secure the Great Circle. Starting with a tomb in North Africa regarding forbidden stones, Voss then secured a dig in Machu Picchu, one of the sites along the Great Circle, wherein he found a particular stone fragment. Voss brought Dr. Lombardi along for her ancient language expertise to translate Adamic, but then something happened, the stone was lost, and the incident was classified. Gina thinks this missing crew is what showed up in the Himalayas and intercepted their exact coordinates and wall arranges for transportation to their next destination. Scaling the mountain, even the Sherpas refuse to take them through the storm to where they need to go as the duo brace against the sheer cold and steep drops and are soon shocked to find a German battleship somehow stuck up here. Figuring there must be an explanation, Jones begins by searching for the missing stone within, seeing the former crew didn't expect this to happen either. Things look grim as it appears the entire crew froze to death in short order as they discover the cold remains of Dr. Lombardi, and Gina grieves for her sister. Indy finds Laura's issued ID, but Gina still refuses to believe she willingly worked for the Nazis as they are interrupted by Gantz's arrival. Jones quickly grabs Laura's research, which mentions something about folding the earth as the ship begins to groan under the weight shifting within, and the duo hurry to find the relic between dodging enemies. Discovering the captain kept it with him as he died in the conning tower, the two teams find the artifact at the same time, but it's Gantz who ends the struggle over it. Gina gets the relic and hides as Jones is taken away at gunpoint and threatened over where the stone is. Before shooting him, Gantz mocks America for their burgers, movies, and lack of principles and good beer in general, but Gina emerges to save Jones in time. However, she hands over a live grenade instead, which falls overboard and explodes, breaking apart the precious balance suspending the ship, collapsing the edge, and causing the entire battleship to tip over. Gantz and Jones fight as one of the soldiers slips between them over the edge with a Wilhelm scream as the entire ship now begins sliding down the mountainside slope. Jones and Gina hurry to escape as the ship slams to a halt, leaving them stranded above a ravine when Gina wonders if the stone transported the ship here, then maybe it can do it again. Indy recalls how the word to speak was Earth Splitter, thinking to speak it in Adamic just as their perch breaks, sending them tumbling down. As they fall, Jones activates the relic and to his surprise, a portal opens up underneath them, swallowing everything in the area. When he comes to, Jones sees Gantz about to strike down and kill him when a sharp piece of debris falls on the colonel instead, impaling him and killing him instantly. Gina is nearby and safe as the pair are confused at what just happened, finding they have somehow arrived in Shanghai, China as it endures an aerial bombardment from the Japanese. Crossing the explosive war zone, Gina spots a plane she can fly them out with, starting it early before Jones is ready. Climbing into the gunner's seat, Indy fends off enemy Zeros, but as their plane takes too much damage, Jones leaps onto a nearby fighter and takes one for himself. As the duo gets away, Indy feels it's clear the power of the Great Circle is too powerful for anyone to use, knowing too well what happens when mere mortals mess with this level of power. Gina hands him a fragment as he says the next stone should be at the Sukhothai site in the jungles of Siam. Traveling there next, they notice the presence of Italian fascists here too, but more surprisingly, Indy is confronted by Locust as well, demanding the stones. Indy claims that Voss has them and Locust steps away, warning him to stop while he still has his life. To the side, Gina wonders what she'll do after this if they survive, reflecting on her lost sister, but mentions her opinion of Jones has improved, admitting she thought he was a heartless grave robber at first. Indy begins to share how his adventures have harmed his domestic relationship, but their conversation is interrupted by an explosion as the fascists attack the local Siamese rebels. A shootout erupts across the hotel as the duo helps the rebels escape by river when they can and learn Voss paid off a general into allowing Mussolini's forces in. The rebel leader, Pai Lin, isn't pleased to see Jones as another archaeologist, but Indy convinces her that he's not like Voss and knows what he's after in order to stop him. Approaching a nearby fishing village rebel hideout, they see Voss is already there, trying to flush them out as the rebels are preventing his excavation progress. After Voss leaves, Pai Lin takes them to her uncle, who is the village chief and rebel sympathizer, who shares the legend of the hidden temple, affirming there is a giant guardian watching it. The chief tells the story of the blessed pearl treasure within, and Indy shows him the stone fragment, figuring it to be the same situation. Pai Lin agrees to help them cross the swamp to the underwater temple, but says they'll need breathing devices to survive the submerged tunnels. The pair take a boat out as a nervous Gina admits she cannot swim, and they first help rescue the chief's missing nephew inside an old warrior shrine. Indy steals a Royal Army uniform to slip past the Italian forces, making his way through the wetlands and approaching the temple the chief spoke of. Diving into the long sneaking tunnels underneath, Indy figures out how to unlock the gate, allowing them further in, but gets a sinking feeling when Gina spots an enormous serpent diving into the water. Forced to find an alternative route into the mysterious pyramid, Jones sees the giant snake is no rumor as it quietly lurks nearby to disturb Indy while he traverses the wet stonework of the temple. Facing his fear to fend off the creature of his nightmares, Indy climbs onward and upwards, helping Gina up as well. Seeing signs of the Nephilim order here as well, the duo wonder if the ancient giants somehow built this pyramid in Siam as well as the giant pyramid of Giza, soon finding a clue to another relic here. However, Locust catches up to them, reminding them that he already warned them and they drop the floor off from under him, though this drops the floor out from under them as well. Indy trades blows with Locust again, but this time the giant is ready, even as the colossal snake interrupts their brawl, only to be taken down by the giant guardian easily. Indy and Locust continue their struggle as one wants to uncover the truth of the past and the other wishes to keep it hidden as his life mission. Gina shouts down at both of them how this fighting is pointless and only helps Voss as he gets closer to stealing the stone. Locust says he has no choice in this matter, distracted long enough for Indy to knock him out again and the duo get away. Returning to Pai Lin, they overhear mining blasts from a dig site that is led by another archaeologist, and as he looks into it, Indy finds it is actually a former student of his, Annika, who was hired by Voss. Helping her out of a tomb full of deadly traps that nearly turn him into a sandwich, the professor also helps his eager student realize the fruits of her labor in even being an unorthodox archaeologist. However, scheming Annika leads him directly into a trap as resentful revenge for years of being underestimated, but she soon loses her arm when her ambitions end up being beyond her reach. Moving on, Gina and Jones find the chamber for the Blessed Pearl, which indeed contains another hollow statue, another fragment within, and another trap that collapses the room around them. Escaping just in time, Jones is met by Locust again, this time with Gina held hostage, forcing Jones to hand over both stones in his possession. However, all of them turn to see Voss laughing at them with the upper hand, spotting the stones and opening fire. Locust is shot and drops the stones as Indy picks them up just as the Siamese rebels arrive in time to provide covering fire for their retreat. Dashing away on a motorboat, the trio fend off Nazis and fascists, but are eventually overwhelmed as their boat is sunk, the group is separated, and Voss captures Gina. He taunts Gina while revealing he used her life as leverage to force Laura to work for him, as Jones offers the stones back to Locust for his help in saving Gina, but the giant is more focused on helping him stop Voss. The two follow Voss to the Ziggurat of Ur in Iraq, which Indy explains is the last site on the Great Circle. Locust replies this place is both sacred and dangerous, but he has people here too. The two split up as Locust distracts the guards with a giant attack on the camp, while Indy uses the chaos to slip in unnoticed and save Gina. Gina pauses Indy before they escape, asking if he would rather see what this mystery is all about before they go, and grinning, he admits he does. Sneaking further in, they enter the ziggurat and are shocked to see at the bottom of it all is the mythical Noah's Ark, wondering why it was placed here and what it has to do with the stones. Getting closer, Indy sees a defeated Locust and moves to free him, but this was just a trap by Voss, who gloats that this discovery eclipses Indy's find of the Ark of the Covenant. Elaborating, Voss points out across many mythologies across the world there have been mention of a great flood, and Indy agrees, as Voss adds there is some truth to each event. He explains from the excavation in Giza he found a story detailing the flood story and how the voice of God, the Metatron, was sent down to instruct a mortal to build a giant vessel. The angel also gave the man 17 stones imbued with the power to fold the earth, and each stone was connected to a word connected to one of the locations of the Great Circle. The man used the stones to gather animals from around the world and after the flood was over to repopulate the world. One stone would then be left at each site under the protection of the Nephilim giants, as some legends blamed them for the flood and so they needed redemption. As time moved on and some stones were lost, stolen, or forgotten, the giants allied themselves with the Vatican to seek out and secure the stones again. Voss pauses to mock Gina, playing the last recording left by her sister, who refused to use the stone to save herself and the stranded soldiers, choosing to die over letting Voss get what he wanted. This lures Gina out of hiding, but Voss was ready for this too, capturing her, taking the last 2 stones, and finally completing the set. Taking them both prisoner, Voss has Noah's Ark brought out into the open once again, declaring that inserting all the stones into the wheel of the Ark and speaking the correct phrase will grant him the power to travel anywhere in the world that he wants. With this power under control, the German army can appear anywhere in an instant and unopposed. As Gina begins using her hairpin to break their bonds, Indy shouts at Voss and points out it worked for Noah because he was chosen by God, while Locust says those who invoke the name of God will be judged. Ignoring them, Voss invokes all 17 words in order, but instead of a portal appearing, a bolt of lightning strikes him where he stands as a dark storm quickly rolls in overhead. More soldiers get struck down as Locust says a flood is coming and Gina quickly frees them all. Voss and Indy duel as a wave crashes over them and a bolt of lightning charges the wheel. Locust tries to steer the ship but Voss leaps in, demanding it is his and ignores warnings to move aside. A powerful beam of energy shoots out from the wheel, pierces Voss, and kills him while opening a portal in front of the ship. Locust tells Indy and Gina to get off now as the Ark moves into the giant portal. Locust smiles in relief at succeeding in his mission, and Jones watches in amazement while the Flood and Ark both disappear. As the game ends, Gina and Indy part ways as he gives her Laura's journal and she considers a story she's about to write. Giving him a quick kiss, she hopes they meet again as her plane takes off and Indy turns to finish another unbelievable adventure. Solving one last puzzle for the Great Circle, we now see the Ark stranded up in a frozen mountain with large footprints walking away. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle has enjoyed the success of engaging over 4 million players worldwide. Personally, I enjoy the huge maps built for immersive sim gameplay with a lot of rewarding exploration, good side quests, and puzzles that don't insult your intelligence. Indy is authentic here, and this adventure saves the legacy from the disgrace of Dial of Destiny. I recommend checking it out. Thank you Bethesda for the review copy, and I'll see you on the next battlefield.